If you think it's a crime to add a hybrid system to a 911, you surely haven't driven this blisteringly quick electrified Carrera. Maybe it's Porsche's fault. Maybe if it hadn't remained so loyal to the 911's original mechanical purity ethos for so many decades, it never would have gained such a hardcore loyalist following for its brand-defining sports car. Maybe without that, likely, even, there wouldn't be the histrionic hand-wringing from certain corners of the superfan base whenever the German carmaker deigns to interrupt the in-the-moment accepted view of what the 911 Carrera is. Be it water-cooled engines or widespread use of turbochargers, or now a gas-electric hybrid powertrain, introducing new technologies and features that nudge the 911 nearer any given moment's mainstream automotive philosophies ensures one thing: a lot of discussion, debate, and pontification is about to go down. So we expected as much with the 2025 Porsche 911 Carrera GTS T-Hybrid, the first ever electrified production 911. But actually, Porsche nuts, and admittedly there's more than one on the Motor Trend staff who fit the description in their personal time, are such a pedantic bunch. Other new things found in the 2025 911 Carrera GTS T-Hybrid like push-button start, no more physical key to turn, and a digital tachometer seem just as polarizing. At least according to the social media and other commentary we've seen. And, ahem, by some of our own previously published comments. But perhaps one upshot of so many automakers funneling so many fully electric vehicles down the car-buying public's collective throat the past few years is that the idea of hybridization doesn't carry the same mark of a green weenie outcast as it not so long ago did to serious car-driving enthusiasts, Porsche fanatics or otherwise. If that's even partially the case, we say, good, because after running the new 911 Carrera GTS T-Hybrid, T stands for turbo. If that wasn't clear, through our performance testing gauntlet, it's more than a little difficult to turn our noses up at it out of some misguided sense that Porsche has somehow ruined its flagship performer by daring to give it more of everything we liked about the 992 Series 911 in the first place. Briefly, before we get into said performance, click here if you want to read more of our subjective thoughts about the car following our first drive report. Or here for a deeper dive into its hybrid powertrain, launch control, the 2025 Porsche 911 Carrera GTS T-Hybrid, and the new 992.2 base 911 Carrera and 911 Carrera S, comes only with an 8-speed twin-clutch automatic gearbox. Though that might change, as we've speculated despite Porsche refusing to say anything of the sort. You'll just have to forget the noise for now and focus on what the GTS has rather than what it doesn't, and it has a lot. It begins with peak output figures of 532 horsepower and 449 pound-feet of torque. Or 59 more horsepower and an additional 59 pound-feet of torque compared to the non-hybrid 2025 Carrera S compared to the 992.1 Series 911 GTS. The new version betters it by the same 59 HP Gulf and 29 pound-feet. Hold the brake pedal with your left foot. Stomp the throttle pedal with your right one. Wait for the revs to stabilize. And, well, whoosh just about covers it. The launch control assisted GTS T-Hybrid accelerated from 0 to 60 miles per hour in just 2.6 seconds in our hands. The quarter mile? 10.7 seconds at 129.7 miles per hour. You don't need to be even 20 years old today to recall when numbers like these were the exclusive domain of hypercars. Just one such example, a mere 10 years ago, nearly to this very day, we tested a Ferrari LaFerrari to the tune of 0 to 60 in 2.4 seconds and a quarter-mile performance of 9.7 seconds at 148.5 miles per hour. Yes, it was quicker and faster than this Porsche. But not by a margin that would make a drag race between the two a slaughter. At least not until you crested past 150 miles per hour. And don't forget, LaFerrari pricing started at $1.4 million. Today's equivalent of something like $1.9 million. Suddenly the 2025 911 GTS T-Hybrid's base price of $166.895 and this particular car's as tested sticker of $205.285 isn't quite as shell-shocking as it was before we dug into our own numbers database. Full transparency and something for new GTS buyers to know. The fat 315/30ths 21-inch rear tires need to be damn warm for you to have any hope of matching our best time. Otherwise, attempting to launch this 911 on even moderately cold rubber is a one-way ticket to Wheelspin City. Something we've heard Porsche itself has had to manage in its own testing. And in our direct experience, the tires still lose grip after the 1 to 2 upshift. Which isn't great for producing the absolute theoretical best times, but sure as hell is a grin-making characteristic for drivers who appreciate a bit of drama in their lives. That said, remember the number. 2.6 seconds to 60. No, it doesn't nearly match the basically unfathomable 1.89 second time of the all-electric Taycan Turbo GT YSAC we tested recently. But regardless, the accelerative prowess of modern-day automobiles has reached a point of borderline absurdity. Knock it off. You probably won't hear many people bragging about a car's braking performance over beers. But it's as important as speed, even more so in a car this quick and fast. After what seems like 100 years of similar results from testing Porsches, it's no surprise the new 911 Carrera GTS T-Hybrid feels like nothing can stop it from stopping. We ratcheted it down from 60 miles per hour to 0 in 95 feet. Funnily enough, precisely the same distance as the LaFerrari a decade ago. For broader and fresher context, the T-Hybrid's stopping distance is just 3 feet longer than the killer 911 GT3 and GT3 RS models that ride on stickier rubber. It's worth noting, just as with the tires during our acceleration runs, our test car's optional carbon ceramic brakes predictably needed a few hard applications to warm up and produce their best results. In other words, you probably will need another 5 feet, give or take, to come to a halt if you have to panic stop from 60 miles per hour in a more common real-world situation. Sticky sweet. If you want world-class handling, the 911 Carrera GTS T-Hybrid delivers more than you'll ever need in that department. 2. Sure, talented, or not so talented, drivers will find ways to exceed the grip limit on racetracks. But you can forget about running out of stick on dry public roads. Unless you're suffering from a debilitating closed head injury or trying to get yourself incarcerated. If you're still thinking a 911's character somehow must suffer from carrying a hybrid system, we experienced nothing on our test track to suggest the electric bits are detrimental to the experience. The 400-volt, 1.9-kWh battery pack that powers the electric motor and single turbocharger weighs just 60 pounds. With the car's total curb weight registering 3.598 on our scales. Yes, that's 126 pounds heavier than the standard Carrera we weighed recently. But that model's engine makes only 388 horsepower and 331 pound-feet of torque. Meaning the GTS Hybrid makes up for its extra heft with its significantly more powerful powertrain. At least in the thrust department. We haven't yet weighed a Carrera S. Porsche says it checks in at 174 pounds less than the T-Hybrid. But official manufacturer weight figures rarely match what we find when we weigh cars ourselves. Regardless, weight is always the enemy of nimble handling. But you don't feel it in this GTS from behind the wheel. The car's performance when braking into corners is borderline unreal, given how much speed you find yourself carrying on the approach to them. And it was super easy and intuitive to dance on the grip limit. Our official numbers. It recorded a 1.11 grams average on the skid pad and roasted our figure 8 course in 22.4 seconds with a 0.99 grams average. We never ran the LaFerrari through those tests. So for perspective, let's consider the mighty lap time at all costs 911 GT3 rupees instead. It averaged 1.18 grams around the skid pad and completed the figure 8 circuit in 21.9 seconds at 0.97 grams. The latter number being worse than that of the GTS. Better overall? Yes. A galaxy apart? No. Of course. Our tests occur at relatively lower speeds and, speaking generally, reward mechanical grip rather than aerodynamics. The RS would obliterate the GTS on a fast racetrack simply because of its far superior aerodynamic downforce levels alone. But the GTS makes a lot more sense for almost any other situation. Its overall performance is unlikely to ever leave you wanting for more unless you're a professional race car driver who's decided to go brains to feet on public roads. Perhaps this additional comparison makes the point even clearer. The non-911 rupees GT3 we named our 2023 Performance Vehicle of the Year was significantly slower to 60 miles per hour, 3.4 seconds, than the new GTS Hybrid. That GT3 model in fact bested the even more focused GT3 RS on the skid pad at 1.19 grams. And while its 22.1 second figure 8 time was 0.3 second quicker than the GTS, its 0.95 grams average was, also like the RS, worse than what the T-Hybrid car managed. So what? From a traditionalist standpoint, we certainly understand why some 911 buyers will still prefer to choose the non-electrified variants. If nothing else, such cars will strike them emotionally as simply what they imagine when they think about driving one. Frankly, a base Carrera delivers dynamic performance the likes of which no one can sanely deploy more than about 50% of on public streets. But don't think the GTS T-Hybrid changes the fundamental 911 experience. Other than boosting that performance past its Carrera siblings, if you want even more bona fides to brag to your friends about over drinks, you need to look at the big boy turbo or GT3 models. Anyone who still isn't convinced should know the hybrid system is seamless, imparting no ill effects on the feelings and noises you get when driving. Speaking of the latter, you hear a clear whine or whistling sound when you smash the gas, and a PSSSHHHH noise when you lift off the throttle. However, since the GTS doesn't feature a turbocharger wastegate, Porsche attributes those sound effects to airflow into the turbocharger and then the pressure reduction in the turbo's inlet when you lift off throttle. It's a small thing reading about it here, but it tangibly adds to the fun. Speaking objectively after our full test of the car, the 2025 Porsche 911 GTS T-Hybrid is the most capable, complete, and best Carrera model for real-world and daily driving duty, and it absolutely rips on racetracks. 2. No, maybe, about it.